to be here at Copenhagen for EuroSTAR' 2022. What's special here is it's the 30th year edition, and this is LambdaTest first year sponsoring this event, and we are here at LambdaTest booth. And I'm even more excited to be here because we have the guru, one of my inspirations in testing world. It's none other than Michael Bolton. Michael, welcome to LambdaTest.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we are here, we got here, Michael, to do some short video for us, and we have some interesting questions that I always thought I would ask whenever I meet Michael. Here we go. Michael, my first question to you is, what testing really means to you?
What testing really means to me? Testing really means to me learning about a product on behalf of other people in order to prevent problems from happening to those people and to the people who matter to them. We do that by evaluating the product, by learning about it through exploring and experimenting, and most importantly to me these days, experiencing the product, interacting with it, trying to remember that tools can be really useful and really important in enhancing our exploration, but we've also got to test the product in ways that are naturalistic and interactive and direct and to a certain degree spontaneous, because if they're not like that, then our testing won't reflect the way people actually use the product in the world. So it's important to test like a user. It's also important to test like a tester. And so tools can help us with that. But by and large, most people don't interact with their products using tools. So we've got to keep that straight in our minds, that tools accelerate one kind of testing and displace other kinds of testing too.
Thank you, Michael.
Well, I'm honored to be standing near one of my inspiration. 30 years in the industry and still I'm learning.
Me too.
Exactly. Thank you, Michael. I think I would love to ask a question. With the advent of digital technologies, the buzzwords, experience, anything, anywhere, on demand, where do you think the future of testing is headed? Right? Like 50 years from now, what would they be called, and what do you think will be happening in the world?
Well, I can't tell you what will happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I can tell you what I'm worried about what might happen. I can tell you what I hope will happen. What I hope will happen is that people will remember what testing has been for the last, 4,000 or 5,000 years of human history, which is investigating the world, investigating things in the world, learning about stuff, again, exploring and experimenting and experiencing. I hope that'll continue. What worries me a little bit is that testing is being reduced to confirming and demonstrating that given certain inputs, the product will produce certain outputs. But that, it seems to me, misses the point. It's like saying that the point of a computer program is for code to produce output. That's not the point of a computer program. The point of a computer program is to help people get stuff done, to help people have fun, to help people's problems go away. And that's all right, as long as the problem is actually solved, and as long as the solution doesn't introduce new problems of its own. And we see lots of that, especially in stuff that hasn't been responsibly tested. So I hope we remember to keep our focus on testing as an exploration of what the product actually does and how people actually use it, and a really strong focus on finding problems before they hurt people.
Makes sense. So do you think psychologists would be good testers at some point?
Oh, psychologists have always been good testers, I would say. Philosophers, journalists, anthropologists and sociologists.
Interesting.
And computer scientists. But there's been a real, almost a kind of malnutrition, right? A vitamin deficiency in those initial categories. a little too much emphasis maybe placed on computer science and mathematics and formal proofs and that, and not enough focus, it would seem to me, on what engineers do, which is learning from failure, learning from problems. Problems are, I remember Jerry Weinberg saying that when he wrote a chapter on errors in a book that he wrote in 1961, he said he got an incredible amount of crap from people in the computer business. Why do you want to talk about errors? We don't want errors. Well, it's like saying, why should we ever talk about manure? Manure is a reality, and manure has its uses, and it exists, and people have unpleasant reactions to it, but we need to consider it if we're going to consider what things are like in the world. It's a part of life.
Amazing. That's an awesome answer. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Priya. All right, next question from my side would be, I think we have a right amount of balance in terms of experience in testing. Michael, for you, it's around 40-50?
Well, I guess one way you could put it is 60.
60?
Because that's how old I am.
Oh,
Well, I mean, every kid enters the world as a tester.
that's where my question is. So the reason for asking that question is you're like 60 years of experience, and Priya just mentioned 30, and I'm 50 years now.
We'll just say that you're 30. How about that? We'll
nice.
say that you're
Thank
30
you for
years
that.
old.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
30
so
years
60
experience.
and then 30, and then I'm into like just getting there, 15 right now, and we still have a lot of people trying to get testing as one of their career. So what would be one piece of advice, Michael, for the younger generation who's picking up? There's a lot of new trends like the programming languages, you get into automation, you get testing, or there's AI, you learn data science. There's a number of tools and programming that they think about. But if you want to nail it down to the younger generation who's starting testing, what that would be?
Well, I guess one piece of advice would be there's no one piece of advice.
Okay.
There's no single path into it. I think if we did a little survey, we would find out we all got into testing in different ways.
Yep.
Testing as a profession, as a formal thing. And that's okay. In fact, that's a benefit because diversity of backgrounds, diversity of interests, diversity of ethnicities, diversity of education, diversity of skills makes testing richer. So what I would say to a young tester who's interested is follow your lights. There's some testers who are eager to learn to code. That's great. And if you're eager to learn to code, you should learn to code, it seems to me. But if you're not eager to learn to code, there's lots and lots of other ways in which your contribution will supplement and enrich the people who do write code. That said, I would also emphasize that people who can write code are usually not in terribly short supply in a development project. Usually there's some of those. What we rarely have is people who are interested in finding trouble, people who are interested in looking for problems, people who are interested in modeling the product from different perspectives, people who are connected with investigating risk to the business that is rooted in problems in the product. Some of the problems in the product are not terribly important to the business or not terribly risky for the business. And got to be okay with that too. We can't be perfectionists, but risk investigator is the biggest of the themes I would say in the field of testing. But get into any way you like. A friend of mine would be a wonderful tester, only she happens to be an archaeologist. But think about how archaeology could help you in testing. You're looking into artifacts and going in, dumpster diving into the history of the project and the history of technology and so on. You can come at it from so many different places. The world's your oyster as a new test.
Awesome, thanks, Michael. I guess there's a lot of professions coming in, like right from psychologists to archaeologists and many more. I hope this has been helpful to all of you who's listening in, and thank you, Michael, again for joining us. We're so honored to have you at our LambdaTest booth, and thank you, Priya, and thank you, Vignesh, behind the camera. See you next time.
Namaste.
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 Thank you.